I don't know, I think instinctively I was obsessed with growth anyway. I was obsessed with how the
Yes.
human mind works and what we're capable of. And throughout my entire life, I've been that way. Even when I did hypnobirthing with my children, it was like mind over matter. I can control my thoughts, I can control my body, and I can give birth to my children without drugs on the couch at home comfortably. Comfortably, I don't know if that's the right word, but I just knew that our mind and our body is so powerful, and learning that skill or those tools just gave me the power to be able to control my future. Now, my future was filled with more dark places, going broke a couple of times. There was a roller coaster amongst that, but I just look back on my life now that, I'm 45 next week, and the learning never
Happy
stopped.
birthday.
Thank you. The tools never stop coming. The growth never stops. And it's just a constant evolution where those dark times are what brings the light to the surface in our most happiest times. The contrast is so important. So, yeah, I've appreciated those tools.
Oh, wow.
Needed them for the roller coaster of life.
I love what you just said, because this is so important. We teach something called futuring, which is, the ability to control your now, to control your thoughts, to design better futures. And you are talking about in futuring, there's 4 types of futures: dark, dim, bright, and brilliant. And dim is where you will never be there, Jody. You are not in there. Dim is the, third world countries that say, oh, but the richer country should give me. If the clients, I think, let me pause for a moment because Sophie just got out. So 3, 2, 1. We'll keep recording, Jody. You and I you are still on, right? You still can hear me?
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, this will be edited. Okay, I'll just keep going because Sophie just got kicked out, I think, because of the storms that we're having, but she'll come back. Anyway, so 3, 2, 1. So what you're sharing, in futuring, there's a future called dim future, which is where people, complain. They want everything free. They don't want to invest. It's a soap opera mentality. It's a why me, poor me, the victim mentality, the one that blames the mentor, the coach, the father, the weather, why they have not advanced. Then there's the bright future, which all of us visit, which is the future that we hustle, and we have no fulfillment. We go in overwhelm. We go overdrive. That's where we get a disease. That's where we get to come back to define our priorities. Then there's the brilliant future, people like Anna Frank, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, that defy all odds, right? That defy their challenges, whatever darkness is going in the world, and they create movements and realities. And there's the dark future that, we lose everything. The dark future that someone dies in our family, there is abuse, there is loss. But in the dark future, which represents like the womb of creation, is where people with obsession and with that commitment to create something greater than that darkness are burdened themselves. And what you are explaining right now is like the challenge and the contrast was so needed to create where you are. So I just wanted to commend you on that. So the next question I have for you, Jody. So you are embracing life, right? You are charging up on the future and having a stronger control of your mind with this big why of like, I felt helpless not helping my father. Now I'm going to live it myself. So you began that path. You are in this personal development. How did you start it in entrepreneurship?
I jumped because it just felt right. I was a bit of a rebel in school, and the idea of working for somebody else and being told what to do, when I can have lunch, when I can holiday, it just didn't sit right with a rebel soul like myself. And when I was working jobs in London when I was 21, I always liked computers, and I was always creative. And when I saw somebody in the investment bank that I was working for, somebody was creating things on their computer that looked creative and technical at the same time. And it turned out that he was running the internal websites for the investment bank. And they were restructuring anyway in the job that I was in London. And so I decided, well, I wanted to go and start a web design company because that looked fun. I had no idea what I was doing. I just went out and bought the software front page, which is what you built websites in at the time. And I did the tutorial in the front of the book. I made some business cards up that day and I didn't have much money. So it was like the most basic black and white same day business cards. And then I went to a bank evening where a whole lot of businesses were showing up because it was an e-commerce night. So I searched on, it wasn't Google at the time, it was Ask Jeeves. And I had a look at what e-commerce sites were all about, because I knew this bank wasn't going to be skilled in e-commerce. So I thought if I can go there and position myself as someone who knew what they were talking about, that I could get my first clients. So I went there that night and I listened to all the questions in the room that the bank could not answer. And all of the ones that I knew how to answer because I'd researched that day online, I stood up at the end when the bank people had finished and said, "You, sir, you asked whatever his question was. The answer is this." And I went around the room and I did that. And I walked out of there with my first 3 clients. And I got on the tube going back to my house going, what the hell? How do you build a website? I have no idea. I'm about to learn. And yeah, I kept some of those clients for years. I just went out and it was build the parachute on the way down. I had no idea what I was doing, but I learned very quickly. And, that's how I started in the online world.
I love that, Jody, because that, now I'm going to translate it into spiritual terms. This is faith. This is the power of faith in action that, Kevin used to talk to us a lot about. Taking imperfect action beats no action, just 100%. But I love that you jumped in, that you figure out how you were, while you were, finding out what works, what doesn't work. This is literally the power of faith. And it is said that faith without action is dead. And this brought so much life to you. And I love that you said that you had your clients, it's amazing. It's amazing that people that are the most successful in life are the ones that jump the most. And the honesty of what you just said of like, I had no clue what I was doing. I want people to hear out there that sometimes you see us all, oh, they're successful. They know what they're doing. No, we're just jumping, we're learning from mistakes. We're implementing the new things that we're learning, but the aspect of faith is so important. So as you jumped in and you began to be an entrepreneur, you're super you were started so young. I love that. So what kept you hungry for going in spite of all the challenges, that the storms of life that were coming your way at that young age? What kept you hungry? What was the vision that you held that said, it doesn't matter what's going on, what brings me down to the floor, I'm going to stand up and keep going and moving forward?
Yeah, what's interesting is a lot of my friends who have known me for a long time, and I take this for granted because it's my natural state. No matter what happens, no matter how many times I get knocked down, I just keep going. It's almost like I don't know how to quit. It's not in me. So anytime there was, going broke, and when I went broke, it was because I invested my time into charities and youth work, and my heart was so drawn to that. There was confusion between making money and helping the world. I loved helping people. All humans, we're innately built to want to help other people. And I think even back when I didn't know what I was doing with those websites, I went into that room that day and walked away with those 3 clients. I wasn't going, hey, yippee skippy, I've got their money, let's go. I was going, I really want to serve these people at the highest level that I can, to the point where I learned how to build an e-commerce site when I didn't know anything. And I stayed up day and night to do it, to deliver a service at a level that deserved the money that they were giving me, so that there was a fair exchange. And I think that what kept me going, it's changed throughout my entire journey, but what kept me going at that point was I was a 21-year-old partying in London, living in a flat with a whole bunch of people. We were just trying to make enough money so that we could go get on a cheap flight for a weekend, go across to somewhere in Europe, party, come home, start again. So what drove me then was my desire to go and have a whole lot of fun while I was traveling the world. But then as I got older, it changed.
I absolutely love this because, even though, you said it drives me just to be and travel all over the world, but the training you are receiving at this stage, it's so unbelievable to me. And the power, I love when you said it's almost like I don't know how to quit. You are driven for this. It's ingrained in you. And I love that you are taking that muscle into action. So as you grow up, so what will be, in the process, and we are going to arrive to LadyBalls, which I'm super excited for you to share it, and the Profit Vortex, which literally, I literally felt for a moment that Abraham Hicks was in the podcast, and it was like, Yvonne, pay attention to what Jody's about to say. You're about to go to the vortex of profit if you pay attention, literally. But what was in the path of you building this, defeating the challenges, getting better, learning, falling, all of that? What were the spiritual experiences that you had that brought you to begin to not only have more money, but more depth and more spiritual service? Because I really believe, and I know when we were in the mastermind, the family mastermind with Kevin Nations, I will see a couple of people that were there, and I knew these are more spiritual than the people that are in meditating, that are in caves, that are doing yoga, and they say namaste, because the level of transformation you bring to people with your work, that's what I'm after. Like people that can sustainably transform and be the best version of themselves. So what brought you into this awareness of this deeper connection spiritually? You already had mind control, mind over body, emotional control. What were the spiritual aspects in your life that had you go even deeper into who Jody Jelas is?
When I am interviewed and people ask questions, I've always got an answer, but this is the first time where I've never had to answer that question before. So I'm answering this purely from the heart. And do you know what I think it is? Because it's still today is something that I feel emotional saying it. So it's definitely it. I feel so much empathy for the person I'm working with, whether that be, they're at a LadyBalls retreat and they're sharing some traumatic experience, or whether I'm helping someone build a sales funnel and we're coming up with a strategy that will work best to get their message out there. I have so much empathy for the people that I'm working for. It's almost like, I was about to say their skin becomes my skin. It sounds horrific, but you know what I'm saying? I'm listening to them. Yes. And I can feel their position. I can feel where they're at, and I put myself in their shoes. However, and the reason I haven't done a LadyBalls retreat in a few years, other than obvious reasons, logistically I couldn't, I feel so much that sometimes it's to the detriment of myself. I feel enough, yes, and I can help and serve, but afterwards I carry other people's load as if they're my own. And it's something that I've always wanted to master, and I have not quite. But I also put that down to the reason I can serve clients in whichever area of my business is that I am. Honestly, I feel them, and it helps me come up with solutions and strategies. And it yes, even the stuff that doesn't seem spiritual, it seems like numbers and headlines and
this is spiritual.
Yeah, it's all spiritual because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling what my customers are feeling. I'm feeling what my clients are wanting to achieve, and I can help them get there. So it's all spiritual. It's all feeling. It's all emotion.
Yes. And, I'm going to chime in what you just said, because spiritual experiences, yes, I agree with you, it's everything, but there's moments that humble us, like in the hero's journey that sent us to the pit, like to the well of sorrow. I used to have that experience with my clients, especially in rebirthing, right? That is like, you have to go through all the trauma, preconception, conception, and all that they are carrying from ancestral legacies, mother, father, etc., etc., etc. And feeling into that, I think that's the most spiritual experience, because you're actually putting yourself in your client's shoes. You're actually, treating them as you would like to be treated, right? Like the golden rule. And then to be able to separate yourself from them, it's kind of like cutting an umbilical cord. And I think, and I'm just going to throw this in family constellations, there's an aspect that it's called divine representation, which means for us to see where the other is at, some of us have to represent them and tell their story with our body, with our knowledge, with our wisdom. And when we represent them, sometimes, we carry them with us. They are still part of us because everything is connected, right? We're all connected and interconnected. And we bring a part of themselves, the part of themselves that maybe they still haven't worked on, their shadow self, their sad part. We're carrying it